Y'all want to talk about precision farming? Let's do it.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey, what's up guys? It's DJ. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking our first look at precision farming in the game. We're going to go over the bare basics so that you guys can get up and running after watching this video. Try to make it as short as possible and we'll get right up and have some fun. First things first, we've got a new menu. This is the precision farming menu just right below your normal map. This gives us our different types of soil. We also have different pH levels, different nitrogen levels, yield, and seed rate. As far as your soil, this will be taken after you get everything picked out. You've also got your pH. All that is lime, and nitrogen, that's just fertilizer. And then of course your yield, obviously, is your yield. So in seed rate, you got to know how much seed you're going to have to put in to get to a normal area. Now, of course, you can see we don't have anything showing. So the first thing we need to do is take our soil sample. I'm using an Xbox controller on PC today, so I press down on the right stick, and you see we've got a couple different things to show total values. Well, we've done nothing, so that's not going to do anything. We can't reset anything because there's nothing to reset. And we've got our environmental score details, which we don't have one of those yet. Actually, we do have an environmental score, but it's just 50, as you can see right here. Also, one thing I've noticed is the different setups will show for the different areas that you own as well, so do keep that in mind. Now that we've got all of this pulled up, you can see we have purchase soil information. You could do this a couple different ways. You can either purchase it here or you can buy a piece of equipment which will do it for you. But here we're just going to purchase the soil information. Another way you could do this, and it's a little bit cheaper, but maybe in the long run you may want to do it the way that I showed you, is to use this, the Asaria Scout. This bad boy right here is from the Farming Simulator 19 version, and it does exactly what we just showed you. At the top, you can see with the soil sampling unit, you can take soil samples to have a more detailed information about the field for future working steps. And of course, we have a few other new pieces of equipment as well, plus one that's added to all the base game tractors. Oh yeah. Once you've got your soil analysis, this kind of tells us what we need to do next. You can also see that our overall score has gone up to 57 because we did one of the things that needs to be done. So here you can see below each one, you can see kind of like a chart of sorts. Well, that's kind of neat. So let's go over here. We're going to go ahead and turn our HUD off. I'm using the Power Tools mod. You may know a bunch of mods stopped working. So here we go. You can see pH balance, and this one is good. We've got nitrogen is bad, and we have our expected yield and the yield potential. So the yield potential out of this field right here, we could not get any more than 89% of what we can get in the base game. Heads up there. If we come over to this field, it's a little bit different. You can see at the bottom right-hand corner, the soil is sandy loam. Our pH value is good, but it's not perfect, which we can make it perfect. And our nitrogen is just, well, it's just there, isn't it? So all of the fields that you have will have very unique sets. Plus, you can see in this one field alone, we've got sandy loam and we have silty clay. If we come down here, we've got a little bit of silty clay at the top. We have sandy loam and green, and then we have gray loam. And then in this one up here, we even have a little bit of loamy sand. Each one of those is going to determine how much you can get your yield out and what needs to be done. For example, let's go into pH. This is going to be just lime. So just heads up there. This is how much lime you need to put on your field. All of this should be in a standard value. So if you could look, you see your pH, the different colors indicate how much is there. Well, some of them will need more, some of them will need less. And then we come into nitrogen. Now, not all fields need to be up high, but you can see we have, well, 0 nitrogen in these fields. So we're going to need to put some of that in there. That's solid fertilizer. And then our yield, we don't have anything there because we haven't harvested the field yet. You have to harvest the field before it tells you what your yield is, or was rather. It tells you what it was, not what it is. And then of course your seed rate. Are you confused yet? Good, let's keep going. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is your environmental score. If we go into our precision farming here, you can see our environmental score is 58. So we are just right smack dab in the middle with nitrogen, meaning we haven't done any nitrogen yet. Our pH value is kind of right in the middle because we haven't done anything. Same thing for weed control because we haven't done anything. And tillage being the same. So each one of these gives us a certain amount of points. For example, the top we've got our nitrogen. This score changes depending on the fertilization of your field. So the max score of this can be 30. It can only be reached if you use the max or the manure sensor for organic fertilizer and the crop sensor for the mineral fertilizer application. It doesn't say how much you're going to lose out if you don't, but you're definitely going to want to use those. And they can be found right here. So if you go into the Code of Grant right here, and we go down to John Deere Manure Sensing, you can choose that. We've got a new thing right here. This is kind of neat. So this would be used if you guys are using slurry or digestate. As slurry and digestate, they have a different, well, they're not homogeneous. They're never the same in the real life or now in the game. So you're going to need that. You could also use this if you're using liquid fertilizer or herbicide. So you could use that. We've also got some different weights on the front of that as well, which is very nice. If you don't have either one of those, well, maybe you need to go here, the Aceria Pro Compact. Boom. It adds these little things, little ears right on your mirrors, and we get a little, well, it's not GPS, but we get a little sensor right there, smack dab on top of your cabin. Now, this is for base game tractors and Giants mods. As far as I can tell, only works with those. However, I'm sure modders will be adding those in a previous time. And they may already be added by the time you're watching this video. So you can use that as well. The only difference between the Aceria Pro, which goes on your tractor, and the Aceria Pro Active is the Active can be used day and night. The other one can only be used during the day. Those will give you a more precise level for your nitrogen levels. If you're not using those, well, this may only go up to 20 or 25. Next is going to be your pH value. This number is out of 15. You can see currently we have a 7.5. Maintaining optimal pH is a prerequisite for a sustainable farm. You can only reach this full potential if the soil has the right balance of nutrient storage for mineralization, aka if the pH value is too high or too low, the score will decrease. pH score gets updated after the harvest, so heads up there. One thing that is very nice about the pH value as well is it, along with nitrogen, can be done automatically. All you have to do is select auto application and you're done. Thirdly, on your environmental score is weed control. Now, weed control is kind of neat because we got something new. Now, we get 30 points total for the weed control, and this is reached by using spot spraying technology, which we go in here, we've got a new sprayer, the John Deere R732i Power Spray. This has See and Spray, which is trademarked from John Deere. And basically, this configuration, each nozzle is sprayer. You can see we add some extra little nozzles there. They only turn on when there's actual weeds below that nozzle. With this, you may use 90% less herbicide, reducing the cost and protecting the environment. Now, normally, if you don't use that, you just kind of drive through the field, right? Well, if you do that, you're only going to be getting about, I think it's 15% total, 15 points total for your weeds. So you're only getting half if you do it this way versus using this. Now, of course, there's more than one way to control your weeds. So if we go into tools and we find our weeders in here, never actually used these before. You've got a whole section right here. If you use these, you're still going to gain 20 points out of that possible 30. So that's kind of nice. If you don't control the weeds at all, well, you still get 10 points, which is kind of nice. You can see we do have weeds on this field. This is corn. If we go in, that's going to be, I believe it's this field right here. Nope. This field right here, man, it's different every time. So you can see this one, we've got weeds in it. Well, what happens if we turn weeds off? Because this is something that I would like to know about as well. So if we go in, we just turn weeds off. Well, obviously they are still there. And if we go in and check our environmental score, is it still gonna say anything about weeds on here? If I could actually select it, there we go. You can see, yes, weed control is still part of this. So whether you turn them on or off, they are still there. The great thing is, if they never grow, well, this stays right smack dab in the middle. Soil sampling we already talked about, but we got our full point value for that. And lastly, on here is going to be the tillage. Now, tillage affects your environmental score. Deep tillage, like plowing, burns a lot of fuel, digs up weeds and seeds, and puts them on the soil surface. It makes the soil susceptible to erosion. Well, that's not good. So plowing basically means a major penalty rather, for your environmental score. So don't plow or you won't receive any points at all. Shallow tillage saves fuel, reduces erosion, and is rewarded with 5 points. Well, we've got that right here. Minimal tillage and direct seeding will be rewarded with a maximum score of 10 points. Easy way to get this, just direct drill everything. We got direct drill planters and seeders now. Just use those. Now, I also see you saying, DJ, we've got a setting that makes us plow, right? Well, you can turn that off if you want to. Of course, I'm always going to turn field stones off, but periodic plowing required. You could turn that off and never have to plow a field again and be just fine. You'll get your points. You never have to plow. It's good. Precision farming's nice because it's kind of like a cheat almost. Let me show you what I mean. First thing, I'm gonna take a field that has nothing in it. Maybe it's just been completely cultivated, or maybe it's just been harvested, something like that. We're just using base game stuff here. So we're on Elm Creek, and we're gonna be using this field right here, 46. Now, the first thing that we wanna do is we want to put lime down. This is the easiest way to start getting points. And as I mentioned, you could do this automatically with any lime spreader that you've got. At the top left, you're going to see deactivate automatic application rate. You could deactivate this if you wish, but literally just activate it. All you got to do is activate automatic, and it will literally put it down how it needs to. You can also load up the map here at the bottom left-hand corner, and it will show you exactly what you've put down, where you've put it down, and so on, which is really, really nice. So all I got to do is come through here and lime this whole field. So an interesting one, I've actually gone through and done a couple things to this field and not a lot's changing for my score. So that leads me to believe that something has happened. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose a new field right over here. Obviously, right there you can see our score is changing, but I haven't done anything to these other fields, so I'm thinking this might be an average of all of them, and we don't want that. So we're going to start right here, fresh. Right here on 48, it is plowed, so that's nice at least. It doesn't need to be plowed. So what we're going to do is, first things first, I'm going to make sure that the automatic application rate for the lime is good. Lime is going to be the very first thing that I put down. The reason that lime is the first thing that I put down is it's just a good base for everything. Plus, you can fertilize on top of lime as well, which is really, really nice. So, first things first, get your soil sample done. Second thing, put some lime down. And remember, automatic application rate is key. Probably would have helped if I would have done that before then. One of the other nice things is if you've got automatic application rate turned on after you've already done something, you can easily come back through and do it again. For example, if you may be seeing at the bottom left-hand corner right now, I've got some areas that I had hit previously, but I can just go back over them again, and it will accept the extra lime that I put down. It's really nice. Now's a good time to put your seeds down, and here's another thing as well. We've got an automatic seed rate, so we definitely want to enable that. You could also disable it if you want, and you could change your seed rate depending on what you've got going on. It'll either put down a little bit or a lot depending on your soil, which is nice. But you don't have to worry about anything. Just disable or enable the automatic seed rate and make sure you lower your seeder down. We're just going to put down wheat today. Of course, base game things still apply. So if you've got smaller rocks in your fields like I do, you can see we need to roll the field. So, needs rolling. I got a roller. Let's roll the field. So we'll go through here. This should actually give us two things. It should squish these rocks down, which it is, and it should also give us a nice roll, which it is. Obviously, you'd want to get rid of the rocks before putting down any seed, but for the sake of this video, this was the best place to do it. Next up, we got some fertilizing to do. Now, this can be done a couple different ways, but we need to make sure that we're using sensors if we want to get 100% of our max. Now, you don't have to use a sensor, as the great thing is, if we go down in here and we take a look at this guy right here, if we take a look at our nitrogen levels, you can see the nitrogen levels are there. If we go through and we spray, or we go through and we spread, or we do slurry, well, this is going to show us the same thing regardless. But if we want that maximum amount, well, what we want to do is we want to use this, the Asaria Pro, either the active or the passive one that goes on the tractors. This is pretty simple to use. All you have to do is open it up, and then whatever fertilizer spreader you've got on the back is good to go. Also, with these fertilizer spreaders, now all of them show the automatic application rate. You can enable this or deactivate this if you want. This is my favorite feature from Farming Simulator 19 because it allows you to use one state of fertilizer for every field. But do this after you seed because each seed needs a different amount of fertilizer. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and turn on our crop sensor, and we can lower that down if you would like. You don't have to. And we can also turn on our fertilizer spreader, though it is not wanting to do it right now. Please turn it on. Probably would help if I put some fertilizer in there, huh? There we go. All right. So you can see our little map there has shown this. So we'll go through, and I'm actually going to activate a worker because the worker is going to go through and do this maybe just a little bit easier than I would myself. But as you can see from the bottom left, that bright green is showing. Now, our guy will turn around. Also, if you go for a much larger map at the bottom, it's going to show it as well, but it's going to be really, really small. Of course, you can go with that circular map if you wish as well. I know a lot of people really like this because wherever the tractor's headed, well, that is the direction that their guy would head as well. So we'll go through here. Again, this is going to be automatically applying the correct amount of fertilizer needed, and we never have to come through and fertilize again. From here, if you're playing with weeds turned off, you can go to sleep and just wait until it's ready to be harvested because now you have full fertilization and you've taken care of that crop just about as good as you possibly can. However, if you're like me and you've got weeds turned on, well, you're gonna need to spray them. So we're gonna go into our precision farming stuff and we're gonna go here to the John Deere Power Spray. With this, what I want is we want the See and Spray activated because this is gonna give us that full amount for doing weed control. So we'll go ahead and buy one of those. We'll get it hooked up. We're going to be using herbicide in here, not not liquid fertilizer, but herbicide. I'll actually go and add it. Boom, just like so. Well, funny enough, I'm sitting here waiting for the weeds to grow, and after a few days, none have grown. I must have taken way too good a care of this. Nonetheless, you can see at the bottom, we've got a perfect pH value, a perfect nitrogen value. Some areas are good, but they're as good as they're gonna get. We have an expected yield in some parts of, you see right here, we've got 123%, and we kind of move over here just a little bit. We have a 99% expected yield potential, 99 out of 100. Coming over here, 123 out of 135. So we are 123 out of 125. So we've got a great yield potential out of this field. I mean, we did everything that we tried to do. However, if we come around here and take a look, our score is still only 62%, which is kind of interesting. You can see at least for field 62, we have done all of the tillage that we need to do. Of course, the soil sampling is completed. We've done the nitrogen and pH exactly the way that it wants to, but it's still showing, well, nothing for whatever reason, and we can't do any weed control because there is none. Let's drive through it and just see what happens. Now, I do not expect this to do anything whatsoever. We've got automatic application rate turned on. We'll go ahead and double check and make sure everything else is good, and everything else looks to be totally fine. So we'll go ahead and turn it on, and nothing is happening because I don't have any weeds. Actually, as a matter of fact, we'll go through the corn right here. I don't own this field, not as of yet anyway, but we'll go ahead and buy it. So boom, there we go. And we'll come through here, and you can see we are spraying the weeds down. Now, unfortunately, it's not going to do anything because corn is ready to harvest. Man, Farm Sim is so confusing sometimes. Well, I was hoping that the game would actually give me a chance to show you guys some spot spraying, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like I've been given that option. It's just basically filled up the entire fields with weeds. So I guess it is what it is. Nonetheless, with spot spraying, what it would do is it would go through and only use part of the sprayer. For example, you can see the left side of the sprayer ain't doing nothing right now. If we spin it back around, you can see we've got little spots that are doing some spray, and we got a little spot spraying action over here on the edge, but again, not really much else going on there. But it is kind of neat seeing little spot spraying additions on the side. But that's See and Spray. it sees a weed and it sprays it, which is kind of cool. That's actually really cool. So since we decided to fast forward a little bit of time in the game, a couple things have happened. Number one, everything's ready to harvest now, which is great to see. But if we come down here, we take a look at our scores, everything from the bottom 3 is good. So weed control, soil sampling, and tillage, that's all 100%. We did everything right, but we've still got 2 more, nitrogen and pH, which are awkwardly perfect. So I don't know what's going on with it, but I've done everything right. And it still is putting weeds in just the whole field. The whole field. I think it's hilarious. I did some testing earlier today. No issues. None. No problems whatsoever. And now here we are and nothing wants to work. Nonetheless, it's fine. It's fine. So I'm going to go through now and we're going to get a little bit of harvesting done and see, does that change anything? Does that make the other things change that it says that it was gonna? I don't know, let's find out. One other thing is, because we've done everything that we needed to do and we did everything the way we should have done it, our yield will also be increased. Now we could get up to a 15% bonus in overall yield, which is nice. I mean, just from this one field, we got 12,000 liters of wheat, which I think is pretty good. So let's go in here and take a look. So you can see the only thing that was down total was pH level, meaning we didn't do the lime the way we wanted to do. I don't know. Anyway, so we did pretty well though. We had a 97. That's not bad. I think I did a good job with that 97 right there, considering that we've only got 65, 65, 50, 50. Yeah. I'll take my 97. And that's how you can do it as well. You just have to do what it says. Make sure you put down the right amount of solid fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, herbicide, or slurry if you're going to be doing that. Make sure you're doing weed control. Just spray over it one time. Soil sampling, tillage. Make sure you're direct drilling. You're good. You get, I got a 97. That's passing. That's an A. I'll take it. And now we go back to the way things were. You could say weeds are growing, so we're going to need to spray it down. We've also got to reset our pH. It's good, but we need to put some more lime down. We're going to need to put nitrogen down because there's barely any 45. Yeah, we're going to need to do that. Seed again, roll. I mean, it's a never-ending cycle of a farmer. All right, guys, so that is a super, super basic explanation of precision farming. I think the video turned out a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but hopefully you've got an idea of how it works. It's very simple. It's just extra steps. That's really all it is. Just extra steps. I'm going to leave a link to a website down in the comment section or the description, and that's going to show you guys where you can take a look and see all the information that I've been gathering from for this video and the precision farming video that I've done previously. I'll leave that link below as well so you can check it out. Nonetheless, hope you enjoyed it. Drop a like, get subscribed, join the Gun Fam, notifications, turn them on. That way you never miss anything. Otherwise, I'm sure you got plenty of questions. You can drop them down in the comment section if you want, but over the next few days, I'll have some more in-depth videos on each step of the process. So get ready for it. Otherwise, hope you have a great day and we'll see you later. Peace.